Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning, and welcome to this educational presentation. Now, today I'd like to talk to you about the purpose of trading is to actually trade with a purpose. I can't tell you how many traders and prospective traders I speak to on a daily basis who feel as if they have a real purpose in trading. They have a plan, analysis, and everything in place. But in reality, what they think is really a purpose in trading is really not. And what you're basically doing is just reacting. So let me share with you how most traders, myself included, when I first started trading some 4 decades ago, how someone really thinks that they're trading with a purpose when in actuality they are not. For example, if we look at this chart here in UI, someone would analyze this trading with a purpose, thinking that, well, we're in an uptrend, as you can see. And the way I can analyze that is by seeing that we make higher highs and higher lows. So therefore, the stock is going up, and I think I may want to be a buyer. But then you come into play right here, where it looks as if you may have hit some type of resistance, and there may actually be some support. So you feel as if we're in a holding pattern, okay? That's your analysis. And your purpose is to kind of sit and wait because you don't really know what the market's going to do. You're going to wait for it to break out of that resistance or break down from that support. And then a day or so later, it actually does break down from that support. So all of a sudden, you start to become negative. That's your purpose. You want to look at the market from a negative point of view. And you have more analysis to back up that purpose. For example, you have lower highs and lower lows now. So now you're in a full-fledged downtrend. And on top of that, let's say you took that course on candlesticks, and you have a bearish engulfing pattern here and another one right here. So for all intents and purposes, your analysis tells you that you're in a clear-cut downtrend. And so you really feel good about this. You're trading with a purpose. All the analysis, all the classes you've taken, all the books you've read fall into play. You feel very comfortable. And you say to yourself, well, since we're hitting that resistance and it looks like we're in a downtrend, I'm going to wait for a little upward move as long as all the requirements are still in play. And I'm going to look to short this. So you don't have to wait very long because the very next day, the stock closes up. And that's a perfect opportunity for you to get short at a higher price. After all, the stock closed near its high, so perhaps you short it or maybe even buy the puts. Either way, you're betting that it's going to go lower. So you decide on this day to sell, and then this happens, okay? Look familiar. So what happened to all the highly qualified and trained purpose that you had been taught that is supposed to work, right? Well, it really doesn't work because there's no level of consistency in any of that, in any of those definitions that define that you're trading with a purpose. Unfortunately, this is why most traders fail, because you're relying on things that show no level of having a strong purpose of trading. Now, here's the good news. Today, I'm going to share with you a method that actually does trade with a purpose because it's based on one thing alone. And I'm going to share with you what that is. For example, this particular method actually today would not have generated and issued a sell signal. It actually would have generated and issued a buy setup just before that nice rise. So potentially you could have captured 50 points in 2 days. All right. Now, I know a lot of students will say, well, Steve, how exactly do I implement this? How do I apply this? Because I know you're not there to sit next to me and this method or strategy or technique you're going to share with us. How am I going to learn how to apply this? Well, Pro Trader Strategies and myself, we teamed up together. We came up with a great solution. We developed a platform, the PTS Primo Charting Platform. This is the educational portal that actually teaches you how to trade with a purpose. And all the slides and everything you see today are taken from examples from using our platform. So this is going to be a great educational presentation today. I want to welcome you once again. My name is Stephen Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. 10 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies with one goal in mind, and that was simply to educate traders. That's our sole purpose. You know, we're not here to tell you what market to trade. If you've come here thinking I'm going to tell you what to buy as soon as this webinar is over, you've come to the wrong place. If you think I'm going to tell you what the perfect market is or time frame, you've really come to the wrong place. That's not our job. That's not what a mentor does. A good mentor teaches you how to trade, but he does not trade for you. That's like asking someone to teach you how to swim because you want to, go to a pool party in the upcoming summer and swim with all your friends. Well, sure, I can teach you, but I'm not going to swim for you. You're actually going to have to do that yourself. It's the same way with trading. I can't be there telling you how to trade. So what students usually do, what they've been trained, is they say, well, listen, why don't you just furnish me with nightly signals and I'll just trade based off that. And that's the problem with the basic format of most webinars and most actual so-called teachers. They just simply tell you what to buy or sell, and you're supposed to trust them. That's why, in my opinion, 80 to 85% of all traders fail. You're taking yourself out of the game. The only way to put yourself back in that game is to trust yourself with sound fundamental tools, tips, and techniques that have stood the test of time. And this is the gap we fill. We provide all of our students with things that have shown high levels of consistency that I myself have applied and what I've accumulated in the last 40 years of trading, okay? You're going to see our attention to detail today in our class, but before we begin, as always, we are first required to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results in today's class using these particular techniques, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the tools and edges and strategies I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, if you'd like to get some more education on a daily basis, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down because every day I post different information, anywhere from signals our strategies have generated and my explaining as to why they were generated to little bits of financial wisdom I've accumulated along the way. So lots of great free educational information on a daily basis on Twitter. So feel free to follow us. Now remember, once again, as I stated in the opening statements, we are different from other webinars you may have attended in that our only goal is simply to educate you. We are first and foremost an educational company. We are not a systematic company. We do not keep systematic win-loss ratio statistics. We do not keep most wins, most losses, because we encourage everyone to trade differently. In other words, imagine you wanted to learn how to cook and you wanted to learn how to create a meal. Well, I could give you the ingredients, but how you decide to put it together is really up to you. It's no different with trading. We give you all the different ingredients that are going to, however you decide to put them together and mix and match, they're still going to give you a high level, consistent trade. But how you define it is up to you. And that's where we come in. We help you define that as your mentor. So as you can see here, my goal is not to trade for you. It's not to force feed you signals, not to tell you what to buy and sell on a nightly basis, which so many other websites do. And ask yourself, if that works so well, ask yourself, how's your trading going based off that? Most likely not very well, because I'm not trying to be condescending or arrogant. I did the same thing 40 years ago when I first started trading. I used to sign up for all the newsletters and go on TV and listen to what all the gurus were saying, and that couldn't help me. So if it didn't work 43 years ago, it's not about to start working now. The only thing that will sustain you the way it sustained me is the specialist edge, and that's sound fundamental education in things that actually work. All right, and you're going to see that today. But before we begin, remember, once again, this is a classroom. So if you have a question, please, I want you to ask me as many questions as possible. But because we have a good crowd here today, I don't want to stop for every slide the way they do in other webinars. We may be here far too long. So if you have a question, please wait till the end. I promise I'll get to each and every one at the very end, probably in the next half hour or so, okay? Now, the only question that will be answered now is this being recorded? Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early or if you have any technical issues, we will send each and every one of you a link to this recording. All right, with that stated, let's begin today's class. Now, in order to trade with a purpose, which is the title of our webinar today, of our class, two things are needed, okay? So let's talk about how to trade with a purpose. You need two things which are most likely missing in your own personal trading plan. The first thing is you need to trade with a trading plan that's based on market behavior. Now, I know most of you are saying, well, Steve, my strategy or my method is based on market behavior. I follow the institutions, okay? They determine the market behavior. Or I look at candlesticks, or I look at volume, or I look at support and resistance, or Fibonacci retracement. All right, these are not market behavior. These are things that they think that are supposed to be market behavior, but they're too subjective. All right, one person's support and resistance is another person's, sell sign. There are just too many variables. You need things that are more cut and dry. Now, what I know and what I've learned in my 43 years of trading, which is the best trading plan that's based off market behavior, is strategy number 4. This was the first strategy that my mentors taught me, and a strategy that I continue to use on a daily basis in some capacity, okay? Let me give you some of the highlights of this particular method. It was designed for traders looking to catch momentum. That's what we're looking at. That's the market. That's the behavior of the market. It moves. It has momentum. It has some intensity. Now, the way it does this is through identifying a pattern. It's a pattern recognition strategy. And this pattern reoccurs over and over and over again in not just stocks, in all markets, futures, currency pairs, and in all time frames, tick charts, weekly charts, monthly charts, daily. It makes no difference. Now, the beauty of this strategy is in its simplicity. It only uses one indicator, and that's the 50-period moving average, okay? So it doesn't get any simpler than that. So all you're basically doing is applying this indicator, and then we're looking for that pattern, all right? So let me give you some examples right here. Here's one in VRSN at the beginning of the year. A buy signal was generated right at the end of 2019, at the beginning of 2020, and in the next week or so, 20 points were generated to the upside, okay? Here's another setup in PINS, okay? A sell signal was generated. This was coming into October of last year. And in the next month, coming into December or so, 10 points to the downside. Now, the beauty of it, strategy number 4, is if the trend is strong enough in the direction in which you're trading, it will generate many more signals, such as you see here. So you never have to worry about missing one. If it keeps going in the same direction, many times you'll get another setup that is being generated. Now, this is a highly consistent method. As I stated, I trade this today, okay? But here's the thing with strategies. For some reason, we've been taught that you want a strategy that never fails, that you want something that wins 99.9% of the time. And that is just, so untrue. I've gone to webinars before where someone would say, this has not lost in the last 10 years. And that is silly. I mean, I lose once or twice a week, and I'm still trading on a daily basis with consistency. There's nothing wrong with losing. What's wrong is with having a method that goes into a sustained losing period. And unfortunately, that's the way most systems and strategies are. They'll do great for a series of time, and then they'll go into a sustained drawdown where you give everything back. That's not a consistent method. Those are not the type of methods we teach, nor do we want to trade. So we have to be aware that we will have losses from time to time. That's okay. For example, as you look at this chart here in SIX, at the end of last year coming into this year, we see we have a sell signal, okay? So we say to ourselves, okay, I'll sell right here. This meets all the requirements, and Steve says this method is really consistent. He trades it, so I sell, and then look what happens. Let's say you have a small loss, all right? Well, that's okay. And then you get another signal right here, so you decide, well, I'll take this one. Maybe I got in a little bit too early, and then most likely you get stopped out again. At this point, you're starting to think, wow, this isn't showing me very good results. All of a sudden, a week or two later, you get some buy signals. You say, well, maybe it was just shouldn't have been selling. I'm going to buy now. So you jump in and you take these two signals and go long. You're excited because you think you're going to make back what you lost on the first couple of trades, and then this happens, okay? Now, trust me, this doesn't happen too often, but I particularly picked out this example just to show you that you need a tool that oftentimes can filter out these losses, because even though you have losses, there's times in which you can reduce those losses to a minimum, but you need a tool that's able to filter them out. So this is part 2 in our series of trading with a purpose. The first thing is you need a trading plan based on market behavior. But obviously, you will have losses from time to time. So the second component is you need a tool that filters out some of the bad trades from the good ones. Now remember, we're not going to say it filters out all the bad trades 100%, because nothing does that. But you need something with a high level of consistency that can filter them out. And the best tool I know of in my 4 decades plus of trading is the PET-D. You've heard me speak about it before. It's probably the best tool I know of for filtering out losses, because it confirms the signals, whether you should be taking them or not. So let's look at this example here in Aetna. The way most traders can confirm that you're going up or down is by just looking at the chart and say, well, okay, higher highs, higher lows. And just when you decide that you're going to get in somewhere around here, this happens, right? So how can we have a tool that is an early trend detector that doesn't tell us the trend is going up at this level and then we get caught in this, that tells us down here? Well, we devised a color bar algorithm based off this tool that I was taught some 4 decades ago. And what it does is it colors the bars either green or red. Green means you're in an uptrend. A sustained number of red bars means you're in a downtrend. And once again, we've made it so simple on our platform. All you have to do is click on PET-D in the green strategy tab, and it automatically changes the colors. All right. So now, looking back with the PET-D added, we knew well in advance, we had a series of green bars back here that we were in an uptrend. And we knew well in advance, before this fell out of bed, that we were in a downtrend. Now, the pet D is not designed to get you in at the bottom or the top. It's not designed to tell you how high or how low something will go. It is basically a translator. It tells you at the moment, on a tick-by-tick basis, whether the market wants to go higher or lower, all right? So it's not a strategy. It's not a system. It's simply a translator. But it tells you the direction you should be trading. And once you know that, though, as it says here, you can confirm if your strategy is in sync with that direction. So how do we apply it with strategy number 4? Well, when we combine these two things, strategy number 4, along with the pet D, we have what we call our dynamic duo of consistency. This is our most successful as well as consistent package we have, learning package we have at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. It's traded in over 115 countries around the world and in every state in the United States. We have so many students following us with the dynamic duo. Why? Because it's our most consistent package to date. So let me show you how it works, because remember, I can't be sitting there with you 24/7. So we devised a platform to teach you how to trade with a dynamic duo. And we'll show you how simple it is to learn this process. So let's go through this process on our platform, showing you how simple it is with some recent examples. All right, let's go back and look at that VRSN. Remember someone looking at this and saying, excuse me, well, Steve, I trade with a purpose. Remember, I went and took that online course, cost me thousands of dollars, but they're supposed to be very successful. And they said that there was major resistance here in the institutions because, the institutions are the big money. And after all, they know what, they control the market. They know what's going to happen. When I first started trading, a lot of people don't know, I traded and started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. A specialist is someone who makes markets in roughly about 50, 60 stocks. So I did that. I made markets in IBM, Waste Management, US Air. And so one of the ways I made markets was institutions would come and give me their orders. And I can tell you firsthand that they had no higher level of consistency than someone who was trading for maybe 2 weeks to a month. I used to see them lose tons of money all the time. So I would never in my life put my, confidence in mirroring what the institutions are doing. That would be like, putting my confidence in my, 5-year-old nephew telling me what he thinks the market's going to be doing. Probably had the same level of, success as the institutions did. So trading with the institutions is in no way required in any of our teachings. Remember, we're basing our setups off of market behavior, not off institutional behavior, okay? So we could care less if there's resistance here. So if someone says, okay, well, if I'm not supposed to look at the resistance supplied by the, by institutions, then how do I base my trades off of trading with a purpose? Remember, trading is simple. Don't overcomplicate it trying to use subjective things to determine what the market's going to do. If you want to trade with a purpose, you base it off of what the market is doing. So the first thing we want to do is apply our buy-sell line. That's the 50-period moving average. So on our platform, you come to the green strategy tab again, click on buy-sell line, and in the drop-down menu, we click on the 50-period moving average. Remember, that's the tool that we use in strategy 4. Once you click that on, the 50-period moving average appears. And then we ask ourselves, where is price in relation to that 50-period moving average? If price is below, then the overall trend is down. That means that the market has an overall tendency to go lower. So that means we should only look at the market from a seller's point of view. But as we see in this case, if price is above the 50-period moving average, then the overall trend is up. The overall trend and tendency of the market is to go higher. So why would we care or have any kind of trust in a technique, a system, or some moving average that is based off a crossover, or some Fibonacci support resistance, or even some institutions telling us to sell? All we are interested in is what the market wants to do. Now the market's telling us that overall it wants to go higher until it changes its mind. All right, so now we know that we should only be looking at the market from a buyer's point of view. Now we look for that pattern, which we teach you in the course. This pattern occurs over and over again. And while you're learning, you want to check your work. So let's say you think you've spotted and identified correctly a buy setup using this pattern. The way to check your work on our platform, once again, is to click on strategy number 4 in our green strategy tab. In the drop-down menu, click on signal arrows, and this will confirm whether you're right. Once you do that, You see if you were correct in identifying the correct bar, and you were. That's the buy setup. So you're excited now. You're learning how to properly identify strategy number 4 setups. Remember, you're learning this. No one's telling you what to buy or what to sell. The market is telling you based off the structure and market behavior what it wants to do. But let's say you want to take your consistency level up another notch. The way you do that is by adding the second part in the dynamic duo. That's the pet D. Now, the way this works is if the pet D colors the bar above the arrow green, then it's confirming it. Now, if the pet D colors that bar red, that's saying that it's not a confirmed setup, and most likely you should not take that trade because it doesn't have a high level of consistency. So let's see what the pet D did. We simply go to the green strategy tab again, click on pet D, and it automatically colors the bars. And as we can see, not only did it color the bar above the arrow, but all the bars are green. So this is a high level trade here that we can take. It doesn't guarantee it's going to be 100% correct, but it has a high level of consistency. And as you can see, the market went up 20 points in the next week or so. Now, we took a long time to explain this process, but once you get the hang of it, this will take you no longer than a couple of minutes to put together, okay? Then you can decide for yourself whether you want to take that trade or not. You can work out the money management. You can work out where you want to place your entry. You can work out in advance where you want to exit, where you want to place your stop. These are all things we also teach you in our course as well. The reason why we teach you is this because we want you to decide. Remember, the only way one becomes consistent is by making their own trading decisions. That's why we do not have nightly signals that we spit out. We do not have a chat room or a trading room telling you what to buy or sell. We don't believe in that because that would once again be taking you out of the game, and that would be doing you a disservice. We would almost be guaranteeing that you're going to be a losing trader and join that 85 percentile group. We want to make you a winning trader, a consistent trader, so you can be trading 20, 30, 40 years down the road. The only way you can do that is by making your own trading decisions. Now, here's another example. PINS, okay? Once again, how would most traders think they're trading with a purpose? They say, well, Steve, I'm a student of technical analysis. This is definitely in a range. This is a range market. You don't want to do anything when you're in a range market. That's a whipsaw market. Every time you buy, it goes lower. Every time you sell, it goes higher. So we want to stay away from a range market because the market is basically telling us there's no pattern. It doesn't know what it wants to do, okay? Okay, that is a perfect example of trading without a purpose. How do we trade with a purpose? Well, the first thing we want to do is listen to the market, not some convoluted way of deciding what the market wants to do. So what we do is click on the buy-sell line, click on 50-period moving average, and the market is below, the price is below its 50-period moving average. So what is the market telling us? It's not, sure, it's been in a range, but the market's telling us, yeah, I've been in a range, but my tendency is to want to go lower. So that means we should only be looking at this from a seller's point of view. All right, so now that we know which point of view and which bias we should have, we look for that pattern. Now, you must study this pattern in our course. Some students it takes a couple of days, some takes a couple of weeks, but eventually everyone understands how to identify this pattern in any market, in any time frame. And let's say you identify the pattern here and you think there's a valid signal to go short. In order to check your work on our platform, you click on Strategy 4, click on Signal Arrows, and yes, you were validated. That is a valid strategy number 4 sell signal. So you're learning how to properly identify signals on your own. You see how we're trying to instill in you how to do this process so that you don't have to rely on anyone? Now, if you want to take this consistency level to the next step, you click on the pet D, because in order for you to take this with the dynamic duo, you would have had to see this bar colored red. So let's see what the pet D tells us. We click on the pet D, and yes, it's colored red. Now, even though all the other bars are colored red, that's good, but all we would need is for the bar that is directly under the arrow. Now, if we're going long, we need to know what the color is of the bar directly above the arrow. But in this case, we're selling, so this is a high probability dynamic duo sell setup. So let's see what happened, okay? And all those other sell setups that you see were dynamic duo setups as well. Now, what about those instances where we lost money, okay? There were valid strategy 4 signals, but they didn't work out well. Well, if we applied the pet D, we want to see that these bars are colored red. All right, that's the only way we would take them with a valid dynamic duo setup. So we apply the pet D, and what color are those bars? Well, each bar is colored or outlined green. So that's not a valid dynamic duo setup. So what is the pet D telling us? It's saying these signals are not confirmed, and that you should not take them. So we would not have taken those and not have lost any money. What about the two buy signals that happened to show up a week or two later? All right. In order to take those, both of those bars above the arrows should be colored green. And what color are they outlined? Because they're both up days. They're outlined red. So that means they're not being confirmed by the pet D, and you should not take those either. And you would not have lost any money. So some of the best trades, as you see here, are the ones you never take. This is the beauty of the dynamic duo. It not only will confirm valid high probability setups, but it will also keep you out of some negative trades as well. All right, so let's look at some more dynamic duo examples just to get it under your belt. You understand how the process is. All right, APA coming into January, just a month or so ago. We're above the 50. A buy signal was generated, and it was colored green. Even though all the bars prior to it are green, all we really are concerned about is the bar above the green arrow. And since it's green, it's a high probability setup. The stock went up 8 points in the next week, okay? Here's another setup with SYY, okay? Price is below the 50, all right? The sell signal, the bar below the arrow is colored red. So this is a valid dynamic duo sell setup. 7 points in 2 days. This just happened this last week, okay? INTC, all right, this just happened as well a couple of weeks ago in January. We are above the 50, and someone say, well, Steve, there's a lot of down days here. All we are interested in is looking for market behavior. With price being above the 50, and even though we're going sideways, what is the market telling you? It's telling you the overall trend is up, and until it changes its mind, the overall bias is the market wants to go higher. Now we apply the structure in the form of that pattern, and we see that there was a buy signal generated on the 16th of January, a couple of weeks ago, okay? So we apply the pet D to increase our odds for consistency and success, and we see that that bar above the buy arrow, above the green arrow, is green. It's outlined green. So we have a high probability setup to go long, and the stock goes up 10 points in the next 5 days, okay? This was coming into this last week. How about INCY, okay? We are above the 50 again. A buy signal is generated. All the bars are green. 10 points coming into December. Now, look what happens when the trend changes. The colors turn red. We had two buy signals generated here at the end of December. They were both colored red. One was filled in red, one was outlined red. It makes no difference. They needed to be green like these bars. But since they weren't, you did not take those trades, and you would not have lost anything. So this is how the beauty of the pet D helps you with a dynamic duo. It keeps you in the good trades, and at times will keep you out of the bad ones. Here's two more examples in DLTR, okay? Both sell signals, both colored red by the pet D. The stock gaps down and goes down later on 23 points. All right. Obviously, some news came out to cause this, or some event which happened to make the stock go down 23 points. We had no idea. When people ask us, how did we know that this thing was going to go up or down that amount of points? We say, listen, we never predict how high or how low something will go. We only listen to the market, and the market tells us whether it wants to go higher or lower. And we just are basically piggybacking whatever the market wants to do. We never predict anything. Here are two examples in letter V, okay? This is the beginning of January. We're above the 50, so the market's telling us, not me, not some guy on TV, not some institution. The market is telling us the overall bias is up, and the pattern is telling us that it wants to go higher, and the pet D is confirming this. So you had two chances to get long letter V, and the stock goes up 22 points coming into the end of January. Letter W, this is a little bit more aggressive and more advanced way to trade, because we see here that we are below the 50. We had one close above, but it's not enough to change our mind that we're going higher, because we initially, on the very next bar, went back down below. Now, according to the pattern, strategy number 4, signal was generated and it was colored red. So this is a little bit more aggressive because we closed above and then these bars are green, but that's okay. All we need is for a valid strategy 4 setup to be colored red to be a dynamic duo setup. And the stock went down 30 points in the next week. Another example here in PSA, okay? In November coming into December, 3 valid dynamic duo sell signals were generated, 45 points coming into mid-December. And then lastly, the darling of the market as of this last month has been Tesla. A lot of people love to say, gosh, I wish I would have been able to capture that big move. I mean, there's no way I would have known last year to be buying Tesla. Well, maybe not, but you would have known using the dynamic duo just a month ago to go long, because it was generating not only one, but two buy signals that were confirmed by the PET-D. And someone would say, but yeah, but even in January, it was up too much. Well, according to the 50-period moving average, it was telling us it wants to go higher, okay? So that's all we need to know. And according to the pattern, it generated not only one, but two strategy 4 signals. And then according to the PET-D, these were high probability signals. And someone could say, but Steve, it's been going up for so long. I mean, I can't buy it here. Well, remember, we do not teach nor do we trade systems. A system requires you to take each and every trade. We give you the option. It's up to you. If you don't want to take it, you don't have to. That's why we don't have statistics. All we're saying is that, listen, this is a valid high probability dynamic duo setup. You could have bought calls. We're not saying you had to buy the expensive stock, but if you wanted to, the stock went up 550 points coming into yesterday, okay? So this is valid coming into yesterday. Now, until this stock has 3 to 5 closes below the 50, it's still telling you that the overall trend is up. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, this is great, Steve, but I don't just trade daily bars of stock. So let's look at some other markets and some other time frames by applying the dynamic duo signals. Let's stay with stocks, but let's look at a different time frame. Let's look at a little weekly chart of Apple going back to last year in August, okay? About 6 or 8 months ago. Someone looking at this will say, well, Steve, I trade with a purpose. I mean, I like to trade and look at, reversals and tops and bottoms. I'm really inclined to trade when a stock is overbought or oversold. And right here, look at this. This is a reversal. And we went lower after that. We broke this nice short-term uptrend. So I'm thinking of selling this stock, okay? All right, this is why most traders think they trade with a purpose, but in reality, they're not. Because what's the first thing we do? First thing we do is apply the buy-sell line. That's going to tell us whether we should be buying or selling. And once we do that, we click on the 50-period moving average, and we see that the last month or two has been above the 50-period moving average. So I don't care what some guy in a chat room says. I don't care what some institution does. I don't really care what some indicator says. If you're above the 50, the market is saying that the overall trend is up. So you should only have an overall upward bias. Now, that doesn't mean just to buy at the market. We need to apply some structure. So we look for that pattern. And right here, we can see that on this downward day here, we actually think that that's actually a strategy 4 buy setup. So we check our work, click on signal arrow, and guess what? It was. So in August of 2019, a buy signal was generated on a weekly chart in Apple. In order to give that a little higher level of consistency, we apply the PET-D, and if the bar above the arrow is green, well, it's all signals go for this. As you can see, not only was that bar, but all the bars were green. So this is a high probability setup, and the stock has gone up by over 115 points in the last 6 months, okay, coming into January of this year. How about I should say a 4-hour chart of the Swiss franc, okay? Price is below the 50. We have a valid sell signal here as generated by strategy number 4. If we want to increase our odds, we want to add the PET-D and make sure that this bar only is red. So we apply the PET-D and we see that all the bars are red. But all we needed was this one to tell us it's okay to go short the Swiss franc on a 4-hour chart. The stock fell 150 pips in 4 days. That's about $1,500 potentially you could have captured per unit. Or how about an E-mini chart? Here's a 30-minute E-mini chart. This was going back to January 7th, about a month ago. We had a real strong downward move and then the market reversed. So how could we have applied this? Well, while the market was going lower, a strategy 4 signal was generated. It was colored red by the PET-D, and you potentially could have captured 55 points. Okay, it's up to you. You know, our strategies generate signals, and you can take your pick of which exit you would want to choose. Now, once the market changed and we started to get green bars here, and we crossed above the 50, now it's time to go long. And the strategy generated a signal here for 25 points and another one here as well. So altogether, you could have generated close to, I guess, 80 points in 1 day or 1 or 2 days trading on a 30-minute chart. And another signal was generated here, okay? That's roughly $4,000 you potentially could have captured trading one contract. Okay, so let's recap, all right? What do you need in order to trade with a purpose? 2 things are needed. The first is a strategy based off market behavior, not based off fly-by-night things that, trust me, have not shown any levels of consistency over time. Remember, I've been trading for a total of 43 years. If you're trading some system or some technique or some method right now that you think is brand new, most likely it's already been around, it's just been rebranded, and I've already traded it because I've traded just about everything and anything you can think of. I've experimented with things and seen things that just have no levels of consistency. And remember, you need to apply something that's based off of market behavior, not off of institutional behavior, not off of candlestick behavior, not off of moving averages, crossover behavior, or Fibonacci retracement behavior, but based off what the market is telling you it wants to do. And strategy number 4 is the best method I know of that's based off market behavior. But as with all methods, they will generate losses from time to time. So is there a way to filter out some of those? Yes, by using the PET D. All right, the PET D will confirm your strategy to see if it's in sync. So the best way to do that is to apply the PET D to strategy 4. If you get a buy signal, it needs to color that bar green. If you get a sell signal, it needs to color that setup bar red. Now, this is easier said than done, all right? It's difficult to do if you have a platform that doesn't apply for this. That's why we constructed the dynamic duo to be used on our PTS Primo charting platform. Strategy 4 and the PET D is our dynamic duo, our most consistent method to date, and you can learn how to trade it on the PTS Primo charting platform. So ask yourself, do you think these edges can help you trade with a purpose going into 2020? Okay, I think if you answer honestly, your answer will be yes. So we have a great offer for all of you today for taking time out to attend this special educational presentation. We're going to offer you our Dynamic Duo Special. That's strategy number 4, along with the PET D tool. You're going to get instant course access, detailed instruction. You're going to get all the entries, upwards of 7 entries, 7 exits, and 7 stop placement, the automatic buy and sell arrows. You're going to get the entire course rule along with 4 different ways to apply the PET D, 4 different PET D trading techniques. But we're not going to stop there. We're also going to throw in 12 months of our platform so that you can really learn how to go through the process of trading and learning how to trade with the Dynamic Duo. Now, 12 months costs $17.65. We're going to give you a great discount today. In fact, we're going to not charge you anything. We're throwing in 12 months of our platform entirely free. Now, I know a lot of you will say, well, yeah, what do I just get? I get strategy 4 and the PET D, okay. Don't I get anything else? Oh, yeah, you get a lot more stuff. For example, you'll get our proprietary exit levels. This is something that comes only on our platform. For example, here's a dynamic duo trade in BBBY coming into December, and you see you have a very nice profit here. Now remember, in the course, we teach you upwards of 7 different ways to exit, but we've also automated one of those, and that's our range extensions. All you have to do is click on the strategy 4, in the drop-down menu, click on range extension exits. And they generate upwards of 4 different exit levels, okay, where you can choose from. Remember, the choice is yours. This is just one of the different ways in which to choose an exit for your trades. Now, the main thing we always teach our students is if you're going to use this, always make sure that you are completely out of the trade at the 4th exit level, because many times that's when the trend changes. So this is a great tool to have. It works not only for long trades, for short trades as well. Here was an example in letter J, sell signal. As you can see, if you clicked on strategy 4 on the range extension exits, it generated 1 exit right here. And that would have been a good place to exit because look how the trend changed after that. So this is also included free of charge on our platform. But we're not going to stop there. Along with 90 of the most prominent technical indicators, we're throwing in our signal scanner. This is our pride and joy because we've made scanning for signals so simple. Let's say you're not able to be in front of your computer 24/7. You come home after work. You want to see what the next dynamic duo signals are for the next day. Let me show you how simple it is. On our strategy number 4 tab, now you click on scanner. You'll see this page appear. Click on load symbols. We provide you with dozens of different symbol lists for different markets. Bitcoin, European exchanges, Asian markets, NASDAQ, currency pairs, futures, whatever one you choose appears instantaneously once you pick it, and then you just click on scan. It's that simple, and in about less than a minute, you'll see a series of green or red horizontal bars. The green bars mean there's a buy signal in that stock. The red ones mean there's a sell signal. Now let me share with you what you could have scanned for just this last week or so. On the night of the 28th, or maybe 5 minutes prior to the close of the 28th, you could have scanned and seen that there was a buy signal, strategy 4 buy signal in Microsoft. All right. Now, let's say you wanted to buy that. All right. Maybe you want to buy the calls right before the close. In order to make sure that you have a valid setup, you want to confirm it, right? So you click on the PET D, and guess what? The PET D is outlining this bar green. So that is a valid dynamic duo setup. You could have scanned for this the night before, or you could have scanned this on the day of the 28th, maybe 5 minutes before the close, and taken advantage of 20 points in the next week. This is a valid chart coming into, I believe, yesterday. Okay. So you're going to get our scanner along with our strength of trend tool, a tool I developed with Pro Trader Strategies that had a great ability to tell you when a stock, a future, currency pair, a market, an ETF is running out of gas or still has some strength in the trend left in it. This all comes with personalized tech support. If there's ever any issue, you can always contact them, and they will be there in minutes to to fix your issues. Now, let's break this down. This is a great offer. You're going to get the strategy number 4, the PET D, along with 12 months of our PTS Primo charting platform. Now, normally, if we took this on a step-by-step basis, strategy 4 would cost you close to $700. The PET D alone would cost you close to $3,000. And as we said, the PTS Primo charts for a year would cost you close to $1,800. So altogether, if you purchase these separately, you would be spending close to $5,500, okay? That's a lot of money, and we don't want you to spend near that amount. So we're going to discount this nearly 50%. We're only going to charge you for the PET D $29.95, which includes the 12 months of the PTS Primo charting platform along with strategy 4. This is a fantastic offer, $29.95. And now we know that not everyone still can come up with $29.95. So we're still going to offer you payment plans. If you want to put down a small deposit, if you can't come up with $29.95, that's okay. You can still be up and running as early as today with a small deposit and develop a payment plan. So ask yourself, remember, the purpose of trading is to trade with a purpose. So ask yourself, do you think our dynamic duo special, along with 12 months of the PTS Primo chart, could help you trade with a purpose in 2020? I think the answer is yes. So take advantage of this great offer. Here's how to do it. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. I would really highly suggest calling them directly at area code 310-598-6677. They can develop and put together a payment plan for you. So if you want to, for a small deposit, you can be up and running. They would be able to answer that for you. There's absolutely no obligation. All you have to do is give them a call, and they would be more than happy to tell you what would be required. And you can, think about it and apply accordingly to see if that would be best for you. But I would really strongly suggest that, as I stated, there's absolutely no obligation. They would be more than happy to work with you, and you can find out over the phone by talking to qualified trading consultants, and they can let you know what would be required, okay? Now, that link you see at the very bottom will take you to the sign-up page online, or there's more information regarding our Dynamic Duo special. Now, the link is not live, but if you look on our chat box, there is a live link that has been posted, so you can simply click that on as well. Okay. Now, I promised I would take any questions, so if you have them, go to the question and answer box right now, and I would be more than happy to answer them. Okay. I see there's a question here. What about other time frames? Well, I already showed you a 4-hour time frame of the Swiss franc and how that would have really generated some nice setups. I also showed you a 30-minute time frame of the E-mini. Okay, so if it works in those markets, you can use this on a 10-minute chart. That's the way I usually like to use it, on a 5-minute chart. Sometimes I use it on tick charts. So it's entirely up to you. These methods and techniques can be applied to any market, any time frame, and any direction. So Julio, this is a great opportunity to get your trading back on track, okay? Some people are saying, what about if I trade with another platform? Can I use it there? Yes, talk to Pro Trader Strategies. I think they can supply you with the add-ons for most of the major platforms like TradeStation, Metastock, Sierra Charts, MT4, let's see, Thinkorswim, yes, Thinkorswim and NinjaTrader, although they have a couple of small alterations, but you can use those as well. But that's why we developed the platform, because it's so much easier to use our platform when you're trying to learn. In other words, we developed the platform so that you could really, have a step-by-step process to learning how to identify these setups on your own. You can't do that on the other platforms. You can't simply click on, the pet D. Many times you have to open up the edit box and the indicators and go searching for it. It's a lot more cumbersome, but it's so simple on our platform. And on top of that, you're going to get a full year free. So I would really mainly concentrate on using the platform, okay? Yes, we have qualified. Ron is a very good, one of our best guys at Pro Trader Strategies who can help you. He's a great trading consultant. If you have any questions, talk to them or any of the trading consultants at Pro Trader Strategies. They will be happy to answer any questions with with any type of a payment plan. Okay. I guess that's it for questions. I guess most people are satisfied, and I'm going to see you all in the online class. Now, one more thing I didn't mention. Along with all of the things that we told you about, all of the things that are on the platform, as well as all of the different ways to use the pet D, as well as strategy number 4, and all the entries and exits, you're also getting included with that my personal email address. So anytime you need to email me with a question, you can get my private email, and I will be answering questions anytime. I was answering questions this morning at 4 a.m. Pacific time. I'll answer them over the weekend. So if there's a question about something about how to apply the dynamic duo, you're not sure, I will answer it as soon as possible. So once you become a student of mine, you can always email me questions whenever you'd want. So that's another added bonus on top of that, okay? Okay, if there are no further questions, I just want to conclude here. And remember, I would suggest if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about it, watch. We're going to send you all a link to this recording. Watch the recording again, and then, think about it. But remember, don't sit on this, because next week I'll have an entirely different, discount, an entirely different package with another strategy of ours or another technique. And, we'll go back to this $5,500 price range. So you don't want to miss out on that. Plus, we will probably not have the payment plans either. So you want to take advantage of this. If you're anywhere interested, contact Pro Trader Strategies. Once again, no obligation at all. They would be happy to quote you for a payment plan, and you can think about it, but just don't sit on it too long, or else the offer will be gone, okay? As we close up and we take one last look at the disclaimer, I just want to say thank you so much for attending today. I hope you learned a little bit about what we teach and our philosophy to trading, but most especially, I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the Dynamic Duo course, along with our PTS Primo charting platform, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine so that you can trade with a purpose in 2020. Thank you so much. I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.